Halloweentown, a 1998 Disney Channel original movie, is a shockingly competently made film.
Bitte mach, bitte gefear, bitte gegain, cleadeth freeth, annoyeth bid.
Maybe that's just because of the cultural bias that I have of like TV movies as low art, but I was more able to use my understanding of film language watching Halloweentown than on many films that I've seen in theaters. There are so many choices in this movie that are far more intentional and interesting than they have any right to be.
You cannot escape me, old woman!
Creature hasn't been born that's quick enough to catch a Cromwell.
I feel like I've heard people say that Halloweentown is one of those movies that scared them a lot as a kid because it was like way scarier than children's media should be. Halloweentown is exactly in the dead center of the type of media that the pink opaque in I Saw the TV Glow is referencing. Things that are on children's television that are a little too scary for children, but not quite adult. There are some haunting things in this movie that I don't really feel like I have an explanation for. I don't think this movie was trying to fill me with dread, which is why I love that watching it makes me feel dread just every so often. There'll be just like a shot every so often of a monster in a prosthetic that just like hangs on their face for just a little longer than it needs to. And it feels like you see into the inner world of these monsters, just this wistfulness in their eyes. And you're like, yeah, this is a town full of people with lives and families. The interesting thing about Halloweentown, the first movie, is it was the progenitor of all of these ideas. It's the seed from which 2, 3, and 4 grew. By the time we got to 2, the blueprint was pretty well established. They knew what they wanted to take from the first one and turn into. The rest of them are closer to what you would expect from a TV movie. This first movie feels like it has more potential than it had time to show. I think this world and these characters are richer than the movie that contains them. This movie is about interdimensional travel. It's about family dynamics. It's about witches. And for some reason, the grandma is played by Debbie Reynolds. Hollywood starlet Debbie Reynolds is in this film. So come with me to a magical, distant, far-off land. It's Dragon Tales. No, it's Halloweentown. Okay, this opening shot goes so hard. We got a slow push in through the trees on a pumpkin. We keep getting closer. We go in towards the triangle nose hole, and we keep going in until we focus on a candle within. And the candle is blown out. Incredible open. This open, using exclusively imagery and no human characters, tells us the premise of what is about to be the conflict of Halloweentown. This is the big jack-o'-lantern that exists in the town square. So later in the movie, one of the main mechanics of the wind state of the protagonist is to get the light back into the pumpkin. So the light going out at the beginning is emblematic of something wrong in Halloweentown. We have established the key imagery of the location that is the title and the focus of this film. It's an intriguing image that tells you everything and nothing at the same time. Beautiful. As soon as the light goes out in the pumpkin, we cut to black. And then we come up on a neighborhood during Halloween. I went back to watch to see if it fades up or cuts into the shot. Neither. The camera comes down from the sky, the completely dark sky. Essentially, the scene just emerges from the bottom of the frame. Again, really cool choice for this movie that didn't need to go this hard. We're introduced to this suburban neighborhood where children are running around in their Halloween costumes, collecting candy, and this delightfully whimsical piece plays. So it kind of sounds like this score was basically just sound fonts or sound packs. This shit is MIDI as hell, but I love that. It adds this extremely late 90s computer music kind of quality to it. And honestly, I'm gonna sound extremely like myself here. It reminds me of 100 gecs. I feel like 100 gecs could do a sick cover of the Halloweentown theme song. It's like goofy and eerie in equal parts. I need to find out who composed this film. Wait, what? I just Googled who composed the music for Halloweentown, and apparently it's the keyboardist from the band Devo. His name is Mark Mothersbaugh. Also composed for Thor Ragnarok, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, The Royal Tenenbaums, Rushmore. This is a prolific composer. So the way this movie introduces us to the suburban setting is just this long shot through a suburban neighborhood. And it kind of meanders and it's like, oh, look at the kids. And then it's like, oh, what about this house over here? It feels, the camera feels curious. Then we find this house and then we're getting closer. Then a guy walks in front and then suddenly we're further ahead than we would have been if that guy just walked in front of the camera. So they rotoscoped the edge of this guy to be the cut. We push into the window, and Sophie, the youngest daughter, is wistfully looking out the partially open blinds, as if in a Christmas commercial. So then we are introduced to the three children and their mother. The conflict arises that Marnie, the 13-year-old oldest daughter, she wants to go out and trick-or-treat with her friends, but her mom says no, and is being really cagey and evasive about why.
I'm 13, okay? I'm practically a grown-up. I'm certainly old enough to make my own choices.
Look, Marnie, I am sorry, but you are not going out on Halloween.
Why?
One of the things I noticed about this scene between Marnie and her mom is they're shot in like really close up shots. Like most of the beginning of this film feels kind of claustrophobic. Like we don't get a lot of wide shots of seeing them walking around the house. We just are kind of forced to experience the tension of how claustrophobic everyone feels in this house. Like this whole scene is close-ups and medium close-ups. And sometimes we're like cutting off parts of the face, we're so close. I just feel like these framings are kind of artful in a weird way. Like we've got this shot that has Marnie in focus. It's just her eyes, and her friend who's talking is just over her shoulder, but it's Marnie's eyes that are in focus. Like every frame of painting. So initially when I was watching, I was like, did they make this choice because they wanted to communicate something in the storytelling? Or is it because TVs were smaller in the 90s? The average TV size in 1998? 23 inches. That's like a little bigger than the size of this monitor. Okay, editing Trevor here. I figured it out. I figured out why everything was so cropped in. It's because it's not the original aspect ratio. It's because this was shot for TV, and then when they released it on Disney Plus, they made it 16:9. So here's what I mean. This is the aspect ratio of the second one. You notice how it's more boxy? And this is the version that's on Disney Plus. The only one that I think was shot natively in 16:9 was Return to Halloweentown. For some reason, they cropped in, which is a terrible choice, and they should have left it. I'm guessing it's so that, like, for most viewers, they wouldn't think it looked old or bad, and they could experience the full screen Halloweentown experience, but it just makes the film different. It's a fundamentally different experience to cut off the top and bottom of the image. Here's what this scene looks like in the 16:9 version. And then here's what this scene looks like in the 4:3 version. Doesn't that just make more sense? From this point on, I'm gonna edit with the 4:3 version, not the 16:9 version. Okay, anyways, back to the video. So Kimberly J. Brown plays Marnie.
I want to know why we can't be like other kids and go out on Halloween.
I like her performance in this movie because it's exactly how it feels to be 13 years old. Like, is it a great performance? No. Is it exactly what this movie wants to be? Yes. Marnie acts like a middle schooler who is gunning for the lead in her school play.
Halloween is cool, nature boy. I mean, it's exciting, strange, and ancient.
It was also kind of surprising when I started watching this movie because I think in my mind, from the era of Disney Channel original movies I was watching growing up, kind of like the mid-2000s, it feels like teenagers were the people starring these movies. Like these cool high schooler characters.
Grandma feels like witches are misunderstood.
This movie is about someone who is like at the end of middle school. Halloweentown 2, 3, and 4 are movies for teenagers. It's interesting to see the series grow with the characters and with the audience. So then there's the brother character. inexplicably, this kid has the on-screen presence of a seasoned stand-up comedian.
Well, I think it's obvious why Halloween is bad. I mean, that whole razor blade and the apple thing was an urban myth, of course. But then all that candy causes cavities and gum disease, and those masks everybody wears have these weird kind of toxic fumes inside that make your arms go limp.
This kid is a star. This Arbor Day joke, this shit is good. This is a really good joke.
Why can't you pick some other holiday to get hung up on, like Arbor Day?
The other crazy thing, I think Halloweentown 1 is his best performance in the series. Why?
I'm not gonna stay here and turn out boring and human like you.
What do you mean, boring like me?
This mom, she may not be the best part of any of these movies, but she is a seasoned actress.
No, Grandma, this is totally awesome.
She's doing stock mom character beautifully.
Oh, you can have a cookie after dinner.
And then we get the introduction of the grandma character. We got a flying bus. We got these whimsical sound effects. And then, who gets off the bus but Debbie Reynolds? Do I know much about the career of Debbie Reynolds? No. Do I know she is Carrie Fisher's mom? Yeah. Do I know that they died a day apart? Yeah. So then Grandma shows up, making her grand entrance by levitating a cookie. And everyone's like, Grandma!
Good thing she doesn't like liver, eh, dear?
There's a little practical effect in this scene that I really love, where she's just like, I have your presents, but where did my bag go off to?
They're right here in my suitcase. I don't know where that thing went to. Just a minute.
It just cuts to like this shot deceptively framed to probably have someone's hands out of frame, but the bag is just like shakes a little bit. And like, I think they knew that that wasn't going to telegraph on its own that the bag is alive. So they put a little music cue on it. It's just such a cute little touch. I kind of wondered when I saw her roll up, I was like, ooh, Debbie Reynolds, are you too good to be in this Disney Channel original movie? If there was any hint of her being humiliated for having taken this role, it does not show on screen.
Then we'll put up the decorations so we can get this party started.
Her commitment to this character is unwavering. You can tell that she loves the opportunity to play a witchy grandma.
Oh, being normal is vastly overrated.
Well, I like being normal.
For the second movie, maybe phoning it in a little bit more, but still committing.
Perhaps I should just pop back up to Halloweentown. Just to look at my house.
Third movie, she looks sad. She's trying not to, but she looks sad.
I don't think a little harmless magic told them the location of our clubhouse. But there's one thing I can do. It's keep a secret.
Fourth movie, they got her for like a couple hours on a green screen and boom, she's out of the movie.
Oh, Marnie, dear, I thought the call was dropped.
No, we're right here, Grandma.
Good for you. Good for you, Debbie Reynolds.
I'm so glad you're here. I have so many questions to ask you.
In so little time.
The mom character is extremely against whatever the lifestyle of the grandma is and forbids the children from knowing about it.
You've been dropping hints to Marnie, and you've been badgering me to start her training. I know that that's why you came here tonight, Mother.
But Marnie is like, I want to know. I want to know what we are as a family. Who are we?
There's nothing special about me.
Oh, no, dear, you're very special. You're a Cromwell. And since the dawn of time, the Cromwells have been the most powerful.
So I have a theory that this movie uses magic as a stand-in for lesbianism.
Your tradition, Mother, not mine. Marnie is my daughter, and if I decide not to train her like a witch, then it's none of your business.
This movie is constantly using like born this way type arguments for why Marnie should be a witch, and why her mom should let her. But yeah, it just kind of feels like the queer grandma is coming and complicating the lives of the suburban family by introducing lesbianism to the children. The mom's like, no, I left that part of my life behind. I don't do that anymore. And you gotta remember, Marnie is 13. It's very coming of age. And it's like, well, she's finally the age that it would be right for her to start exploring these things. And I'm like, you mean sexuality? Halloweentown as a metaphor feels very queer. You know, it's like this other place where all the weirdos live that aren't allowed in the normal world.
Humans feared us and tried to destroy us, so we did our best to make them miserable in return. But it was turning us evil, which we are not. So we decided to create our own world.
It doesn't match up 1-to-1, but there's a weird amount of things in this movie that match up to a queer narrative if you start looking for them. Packing up, the only day that the grandma can come to the real world is on Halloween, but she came looking for more Cromwell witch assistance because something feels wrong in the town and the grandma wants to do something about it.
Well, something is wrong at home. It's as though something or someone is trying to return us to the dark time, and I fear my powers alone may not be enough to stop it. I need another Cromwell, which I need you.
Mother, there are plenty of other witches and warlocks in Halloweentown. Why don't you recruit one of them?
So then grandma leaves and the kids are like, well, we gotta follow her to wherever she comes from. And then they hop the bus, they sneak onto the bus back to Halloweentown. And then there's all these monsters on the bus. Dylan makes this joke that's like, they must be coming back from a costume party at the Moose Lodge. And I was like, wait, what is that? And then I looked it up. It's like a fraternity. The full name is the Loyal Order of Moose.
Dylan, this is Halloweentown, just like the book.
It's originally just the two oldest kids who sneak away, and then they find out that the other kid also snuck away. So now there's 3 children in a different dimension town with their grandma, and the grandma's like, oh, you guys are here now. Might as well do some shit. There is a gag in this movie where the grandma is making a potion and she has to heat something up. She puts it in the microwave and the buttons are bubble, bubble, toil, and trouble. That's one of the best visual gags I've ever seen.
Flying brooms.
There's this scene where grandma takes Marnie broom shopping. This broom salesman, I think he's supposed to be like a used car salesman. His vibe is so rancid, I think he might be the least pleasant to look at person in this entire movie.
Looks like you got your eye on our windsweeper 5000.
We're introduced to the character of Luke. And Luke is just like this pretty bad boy kind of character.
This is a local boy, Luke.
Hey, don't sell me too short there, Grammy. I'm something of a big cheese around here.
Everyone's like, you should keep an eye out for that one. He's trouble. And he's like, haha, yeah, I don't care. It's like the suburban Disney Channel version of Trouble. I'm kind of obsessed. And he's supposed to be like the tween love interest kind of thing, but the plot doesn't really know what to do with him. I'm just like kind of confused about like, he's like a fan of evil is like kind of his character trait.
If people were smart, you'd be nice to me. I'm friends with some very powerful creatures around here, you know.
He is a member of the community who is an advocate for badness, but he's dressed in like a nice autumnal checkered sweater. It's great. This movie rules. So it's pretty apparent as you watch this movie that it's tween wish fulfillment. Wish fulfillment. Ha! Wish fulfillment. That's good. So it's pretty apparent watching this movie that it's kind of a wish fulfillment fantasy for a young girl to be whisked away to a magical world where she has powers that she didn't know about. Love that. Into that. I think sometimes wish fulfillment fantasy stories only give you like brief images of the things that you might be wanting to experience. But this film repeatedly puts you in the shoes of all of the best experiences that you could be having in this world. And one of them is flying on a broom. And there's this really lovely scene where it's Grandma and Marnie going on Marnie's first broom ride.
We'll fly it out.
I kind of expected, based on like the costs of doing something like that for a TV movie in 1998, that we would only just get like a fraction of that. It's just like, whoa, we took off, okay, we're back. But like this scene is like a minute long. They just like have a whole ass conversation up in the sky. They have a moment. They share a beautiful, memorable, familial moment marking Marnie's transition into adulthood. Yeah, this was really special to see. I really like this scene. So then bad boy Luke takes him to this abandoned movie theater. He unlocks the gate. Apparently this is where the big bad is gonna be. This hooded figure that looks like the ghost of Christmas yet to come flies out of this portal in this impossible way. It is revealed to be this grotesque, green-eyed monster of a person. Every image of this character is terrifying. This is another part of the movie that makes me think of I Saw the TV Glow, because there's something kind of hypnotic about the slow movements. It's like Calabar is kind of just like doing one of these. It's kind of like that scene with the two moon-faced people doing a synchronized mirror image dance.
His henchmen are close by.
This character is supposed to be a little spooky, but I keep looking into his eyes and I just feel this unknowable despair.
Welcome to my museum!
There's so much imagery in this movie that if you just divorced it from the context of the story and put the I Saw the TV Glow soundtrack underneath it, Calabar shoots this like ice lightning spell. Mom pushes Grandma out of the way and she's hit with it, and all of the color drains from her face immediately. She like glows silver. And then this shit happens to the grandma too. We witness Marnie witnessing both of her guardian figures close to death.
No! Come on! We gotta save them! We can't save them unless we save ourselves first. Come on!
This would have been too much for me as a kid, and I am really glad I didn't see this until I was an adult. This would have given me nightmares. There's this shot of Debbie Reynolds being like, Marnie, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Go. Basically, they have to find these 4 ingredients or death of all significant guardian figures in their life.
Your big sister is gonna get Mommy and Grandma back. You are? Oh, duh.
The item fetch quest from earlier now becomes a mortal imperative for these children.
Oh, we have to finish that witch's brew. Getting the talisman lit is our only chance of saving Mom and Grandma.
Dylan is so me when he is peer pressured into agreeing to something and he's just like, I don't know.
I don't know.
So directly after the potentially one of the most traumatic things that has ever happened to Marnie and her siblings, all of a sudden it's like, do.
Come on.
Whimsy. We're back to whimsy. They go into a barber shop owned by a werewolf.
Take a gander.
And shave off the back of his head.
Put the thing down.
I got it!
Put the thing down.
One of the most accidentally haunting things in this movie is the scene where they go and get a drop of sweat from a ghost. This ghost gets into a sweat box, and it's this semi-translucent guy, and he's wearing a red hat and some big trunks. Like, let's just take a still image of this ghost and just like slowly push in. Like, do you see the wistfulness in the eyes? Do you see the longing? It's just so strange in a way that feels otherworldly. They basically turn up the steam and trap him in there so that he has to sweat, and they collect a drop of sweat. This whole scene is like them kind of torturing a ghost. The fact that this scene thinks it's silly just ramps up the contrasts. So to distract this ghost, Dylan just starts using his nerd powers of saying non sequitur fun facts.
So, did you know that sea monkeys are actually shrimp?
No.
Sophie puts a sheet over her head and goes, "Woo!" And this ghost is just like, "Hey, stop it. That's prejudiced."
Hey, kid, I don't appreciate stereotypes like that, all right?
I don't think this movie is equipped to deal with the ramifications of that joke.
Attendance!
And then this formerly fat ghost is now skinny. A completely different actor walks out of the sweat chamber with these comically oversized shorts. I don't know how to feel about this. So then we go to a dentist's office, and then there's this like from below shot of like what it would look like to be in the dentist chair.
I'm afraid that one's gonna have to come out.
This is giving Mr. Melancholy from I Saw the TV Glow.
Let my poison work its magic.
I do love this little interaction though. It's a vampire who is happy to have medical dental care.
Wow, Doc! That didn't hurt at all!
This movie also has Benny, the skeleton taxi driver.
Howdy, Mayor. What's the rush?
Look at the attention to detail of this puppet. Like, there are moving parts in the eyebrows. This movie has such a love for tactile craftsmanship. So then they got all the ingredients. Then they make up the potion. They put it in the little scepter thing.
You did it, you guys! It's lit!
And then they're just like, what do we do with it?
Work, you dumb thing! Work! Why isn't it working?
What they gotta do is go put it in the giant pumpkin. That's right, the pumpkin from the first shot of this whole movie. And then this final scene, Calabar descends from the sky and makes his proclamations, and then he reveals himself to actually be, it's just the mayor. And then the kids are like trying to make their way to the pumpkin, and then... almost don't get to put it in, and then like in her last bit of energy she drops it in, and then it's just like whoa. The Cromwells all unite to use their collective power to stop Calabar once and for all. They board the bus to go back to the real world, and then the credits roll. I can't believe it took me so long to see Halloweentown, but I'm so glad I did. If you enjoyed this little journey into Halloweentown, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel so you see more when I release more stuff like this. After I watched the first Halloweentown movie, I was like, well, give me more of that. So I may immediately watch the other 3 Halloweentown movies. If you want to hear me talk more about those, you can check out my Patreon or become a YouTube channel member. And then we got Return to Halloweentown. I underestimated your game, Halloweentown. I think 1, 2, and 3 are the true trilogy, and 4 is like the redo. But spiritually speaking, I would say 1 and 4 are the ones that are actually iterating on the world in an interesting way, and 2 or 3 are riding on the coattails of 1. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I mean, look at you with your plastic bowls. When you know leftover chicken keeps better when it's back on the bone.
Mother, get that thing out of here right now.